Week 6, it's time to become Road Warriors. Legion of Doom, Road Warriors. They both count. Thursday night, we hit the same game parlay that we've been talking about every week. FanDuel Sportsbook gives you a free $50 no sweat parlay. You miss it, you get a free bet for the $50. We hit it. It's so easy. First half under 19.5, second half under 19.5, and Commanders money line. Almost got wonky there at the end. It was a weird game, but you take the terribleness plus 500 to hit that. We won't count it on our weekly totals, but just know, follow at MikeTheMush Sports. You're going to get some extra picks that are profitable, including some player props, which generally don't make it into these videos, but we throw a bunch of same-game parlays out for Sunday, maybe Saturday night. You'll see them at MikeTheMush Sports, Twitter and Instagram. You get more there. Like and subscribe here, by the way. You're getting a lot of good stuff because we are now positive on the NFL season, plus 1.5 units. Feeling good. We had a really good week last week, over 5 units positive to creep back into the black. We're plus 108.0 units on the year. We did just throw out a ton of NBA season-long bets. You can check that out in the video after you finish this video. It'll come up here or something like that. You'll see it. Check that one out. For this week, week 6, we are off and rolling. I did some stuff last week that scared me, taking a lot of favorites. I'm doing some more stuff that scares me this week, taking a lot of road teams, but I really do believe in them, and everyone likes a good theme. First up, a 2-unit bet. We love the Buccaneers this week. Fade the Steelers every single step you possibly can. They just look bad. Pickett doesn't look ready, let alone against this Buccaneers defense that's going to eat him alive. They're going to blitz him. They're going to deal with whatever happens on the outside because they don't believe he can get the ball down the field, and it should be an easy one. Now, they're laying 8.5. I'm taking it down to 2.5. So Bucks minus 2.5, parlayed with Chiefs plus 7.5 home against the Bills. I know that game seems like something to just stay away from. The Bills are very good, but you know what? If I can get Patrick Mahomes and this Chiefs team, who are healthy, at home, plus more than a touchdown on a quasi-teaser, I'm going to do that. And if you parlay Bucks minus 2.5 at the Steelers with Chiefs plus 7.5 against the Bills, you get minus 128. That's not too bad. And I'm going to take it. I think that Chiefs-Bills game is destined to be close. We watched what happened in the AFC Championship. Even if the Chiefs are down 14 with 30 seconds left, they might go score that touchdown and cover for us. I think there's so many ways this Chiefs thing goes well that I'm not going to be afraid of the Bills. And by the way, the Bills haven't looked like world beaters in every single game on the road. Every now and then they've scuffled. Look at the Miami game. You don't know what's going to happen, but I do heavily believe in the Bucks, and we'll get back to that. But that first bet, 2 units, Bucks, Chiefs, Bucks minus 2.5, Chiefs plus 7.5. That's 1. We got 12 units on the line this week. That's only 2 of them. We're doing another round robin. Last week we hit both round robins. Profits to the moon. This week, a round robin with 3 teams, and we're also throwing in the 3-leg parlay just for fun. We'll get to that. The 3 teams are Jaguars plus 7.5 alt line against the Colts. I think the Jaguars could win this game. We'll get to that later. And I do think that catching the touchdown plus the hook, there's not really a lot of ways the Colts are going to pull this off to the point where they're beating the hell out of the Jaguars. Jaguars were up 24-0 the last time these two teams played each other. Seems simple. I'm believing in the Trevor Lawrence bounce back. One of those games that he was putrid. The weather was terrible. And last week he threw a bad interception. He's going to learn from that. He's got a good coach. This team should beat the Colts every time. And if I'm catching 7.5, they should never lose. Also throwing Bucks minus 2.5 again in here against the Steelers. We talked about that one. The last leg of this round robin is Patriots plus 8.5 at the Browns. Again, I think the Patriots could beat the Browns. I think this Patriots team is a little frisky. They run the ball really well. Their defense is really good. They're tough against the run, which is where the Browns succeed. And yeah, I'm going on the road with a third-string quarterback, but Brissett is on the other side, and he has come back down to earth a little bit from what I'm seeing, and I'm expecting it to go down a little bit more. And I'm catching 8.5. I mean, this game shouldn't have too much high scoring. We'll get back to that in a minute. But if I'm getting 8.5, in what world are the Browns blowing out the Pats unless Chubb breaks huge runs? And I don't see that happening against this defense. So the round robin for these teams, Jaguars plus 7.5, Buccaneers minus 2.5, Patriots plus 8.5. I'm putting 3 units on that round robin. It comes out to minus 134-ish, but it depends which teams hits and which teams don't. And then the parlay of the 3 teams, 1 unit for plus 132. So 4 units in total on those 3 teams. We're going big. We hit both of these round robins last week. We're looking to keep it going. Rockin' Robin, tweedly-dee. A straight-up bet, which a lot of people don't seem to like. I'm taking the Bengals money line at the Saints. A lot of people, sharp money, seem to be on the Saints. But here's the thing. We took Justin Herbert when he was on the road against the Browns. And what I said was, you're getting a huge, huge quarterback advantage. I feel the same thing here. I'm getting Burrow against Andy Dalton. People are buying into Andy Dalton like he's this good game manager now. He was bad for years. Bad Andy Dalton is going to come out eventually. This Bengals defense is pretty good. They've played tough competition. They held the Ravens down to 19 points. They really can do a lot of good stuff. Saints wide receiver core is really banged up. I don't think the Bengals have peaked yet. I know they have issues, but I do think they're going to get back and on the right track. And like I said, the Saints are banged up, so I'll take the quarterback advantage at a reasonable price. I got 2 units on the Bengals money line at minus 130 at the Saints. I really don't think the Saints team is very good, and I think the Bengals have better coaching too. Another single bet. Patriots at Browns under 43.5. We took the Patriots before, saying that it probably won't be a high-scoring game, and I'm not an alt line. This is where it sits. 1 unit on the under. I don't see a lot of throwing occurring in this game. I think if there are successful drives, they will be churning first downs, long, clock is burning. I just don't see big plays. If there's some defensive stuff, we could be in trouble, but that's with any under that you might take. So I really feel good about Patriots-Browns with both teams emphasizing this rushing attack and both coaches taking care of their quarterback to not take too many risks. Under 43.5 feels really good there. 3 more picks. Another one where most sharps are on the Seahawks. I am going the other way. Cardinals minus 2.5. Only 1 unit on this. Same thing I said about Bengals at Saints, and same thing we said about the Chargers at the Browns a couple weeks back. QB advantage is just too big for me to leave out. Kyler Murray hasn't peaked yet this season. I know he doesn't have Hopkins back, but he's going to get him, and he's been doing pretty good with Brown. And I just think if I'm getting Kyler Murray against Geno Smith, I can't get away from the fact that Geno Smith is going to have a bad game eventually. He looks really good. It's a good story. I get it. Let's not act like he's Kyler Murray. And even if the Cardinals are down in this game, which sometimes they are in the first quarter, maybe the first 2 quarters, they can come back and cover the 3 without a problem. Seahawks are banged up. They lost 2 running backs last week. Jamal Adams is not coming back. I just think with the QB advantage, the Cardinals being a little underrated in my opinion, because it's just trendy to shit on them now, and the Seahawks being banged up, I just feel really good about this Cardinals number. Despite them being on the road in a divisional game and there being question marks about their team in general, give me Kyler over Geno. I got to stick to that. So 1 unit on the Cardinals, minus 2.5. 2 more picks. Simple parlay. We're going back to the Bucks. A lot of stuff on the Bucks. They are our anchor team this week. Bucks minus 2.5. We're going to parlay this with the Vikings plus 3.5 on an alternate line. You get that at minus 128. I like the Vikings because the Dolphins are starting a 3rd-string quarterback. I have questions about the Dolphins, and I really feel good about the Vikings. I feel like they compete every single week. People haven't acknowledged how good they are without Dalvin Cook even being a huge factor. I know this Dolphins secondary is pretty solid, but you're not going to stop Justin Jefferson, and if you have to put too much attention on him, Cook is eventually going to cook the competition. Pun intended. I hated it. We move on. Vikings plus 3.5 at the Dolphins. That seems like a field goal game to me. And I think the Vikings have a shot at winning, and I don't necessarily want to take Cousins on the road against a decent team to win the game, but if I'm getting 3 in the hook, that every time that's a field goal game. It has to be. So feeling good about that. You throw the Bucks in there, minus 128 for that parlay. Last one, underdog parlay of the week. We do it every time. We're throwing a full unit on this one because it's not that crazy of underdogs, but I like them both. Jaguars money line at the Colts. We talked about that. I think I'm getting the better quarterback. I think I'm getting the better offense. I think I'm getting equal defenses. I think I'm getting the better coach. I don't really understand the line, only because the Jaguars have scuffled really bad in the last 2 weeks. Does this line appear this way? But the Jaguars whooped the Colts' ass, and I just think this is a good matchup for them. So Jaguars' money line is underdogs, and I'll take the Chiefs' money line as underdogs against the Bills. I'm never going to get Patrick Mahomes as a home dog. I really am just never going to get that, and I won't be shocked if we look back at this and say, yeah, he should never be a home dog. The Bills might be the better team. I acknowledge that, but for the odds, I'll take Jaguars and Chiefs money lines at plus 370. 1 unit on that one. That gives us 12 total units on the line. We're up 1.5 units in football. We're going to try to remain positive the rest of the year. A lot of road teams here, but you can't be scared. It's a good teaser week. And while we don't do exact teasers because it's better to just pick the alternate lines and parlay them together, there's a lot of teaser vibes going on in these picks. Before we roll out deep fantasy options, no surface level stuff. We are going deep. If you're desperate, if you're injury riddled, anything you need, we're looking far down the waiver wire for the desperate folks out there who are just looking for someone to tell them what to do. I understand. We've all been there. At quarterback, I like Stafford this week against Carolina. I know Stafford is up and down, and he has the pick six problem, which shows up every now and then. Carolina is a dumpster fire of a team. I thought they were going to be better this year. They fired the coach. Sometimes that galvanizes the team. I don't think it's going to be that way this week. I don't see how they deal with Cooper Kupp. So if you're really desperate at quarterback, you could start Stafford hoping he's just going to find Kupp for 2 touchdowns and they just whoop Carolina on Carolina's week where they're trying to figure out what they're going to do. Are they going to sell some pieces? Who knows? If you need someone else, I said it last week, I still like it. Jimmy G at Atlanta, and then against KC next week, he's going to give you a solid floor. I think Stafford's ceiling is higher, but Jimmy G's floor is a little bit higher as well. So you could go with either one of those and probably survive for the week. At running back, I saw a bunch of people giving up on Darrell Henderson. And now there's news that Cam Akers may be away from the team. If you can scoop up Darrell Henderson quickly, I think he's startable against Carolina this week, honestly, especially if Cam Akers doesn't play. Even if he does, I think Henderson is pretty good, and he throws up good numbers, and he's just not sexy, so people don't like it, but we don't know that the Akers thing is going to work out, so I still believe in Henderson, and I like Jerick McKinnon. I've been saying that for weeks, too. If you can get him against Buffalo, they're going to have to utilize the passing back a lot. Edwards-Helaire has been great, but McKinnon plays a bunch. They really split carries, and only because Edwards-Helaire is getting all these touchdowns does it look like there's a huge discrepancy between the way these two running backs are used. There's not. McKinnon is getting a lot of touches, and he's probably going to get more in games where the Chiefs have to keep up. Maybe Edwards-Helaire is part of a running attack. They try to control the clock. But I think McKinnon is worth a look. Maybe if you're not starting him, you at least should be rostering him. He should be owned, for sure. If we're looking at wide receivers, I'm taking all the Jets receivers this week against Green Bay. Green Bay's defense hasn't looked that good. I am concerned about the Jets going into Lambeau Field with the Packers coming off of a loss to the Giants in London, so they're going to be pissed. I get that. I'm assuming you can't get your hands on Garrett Wilson. He should be owned everywhere, but I see people giving up on Elijah Moore and Corey Davis, and I just think these guys need some time with Zach Wilson to galvanize and to get a little better, and their offensive line is getting a little healthier. I think they might be able to move the ball against Green Bay. A lot of teams have. Even the Giants moved it against Green Bay. And so if someone gave up on those Jets receivers, I would take a flyer on them and see what happens this week, even if you're not starting them. Another one, a little bit deeper, Marvin Jones Jr., Jacksonville Jaguars against Indy. Not a great matchup because Indy's defense hones in pretty well on opposing receivers, but every now and then you get blinded by the fact that, oh, this team is good but against receivers and the stats show up, but then you don't really acknowledge that they've faced bad quarterbacks. Sure, they shut down Cortland Sutton. Was Russell Wilson good in that game? Not really. Marvin Jones Jr. had a good week last week. He's available almost everywhere, like 5% owned in Yahoo. And I really think he's going to be worth owning because I think the Trevor Lawrence bounce back is coming and I want some exposure to his receivers. I like Marvin Jones. He's also not old, but he is a veteran, so you know what you're getting from him. It's a solid ad. Tight end, this one is a little bit tough, and I have 2 tight ends listed on the same team, and you're going to have to make the pick. I like Noah Fant. I've been saying since the beginning of the year, Geno Smith is going to check down a lot. He is. His completion percentage is high because he's checking down a lot. They lost 2 running backs that they do like to dump the ball off to. He's going to have to do it to somebody. I don't know if DJ Dallas is going to be the guy. I mean, they have Kenneth Walker, but he seems more like an early down runner. Noah Fant could get some screens, some short passes. He's a big target. Arizona has the 2nd worst defense for opposing touchdown fantasy points this season. The only problem with Fant is it could be Will Dissly, who is also a tight end on that same team. You could probably get away with either one, and I think there's a chance that both of those guys have decent weeks. They both could theoretically score. I do like Arizona in that game, but I think Geno is going to have to find the middle of the field against somebody, and it's up to you which one you want to pick. But I think one of them is going to be worth owning coming out of this week, and maybe worth a dart throw against a bad defense over the middle of the field. I believe in Fant, but Disley has been good before. It wouldn't shock me if either one scores a touchdown this week. For defense, they're available in one of my leagues, and I don't know why, so I scooped them up. New England is going at Cleveland, versus Chicago, at New York Jets, and versus Indy. They're probably owned, but if you see them anywhere, grab them quickly. That defense is really good with a cupcake schedule coming. If you can't get them, I'll plug in Cincinnati at New Orleans. I really don't believe in Andy Dalton. I think the Cincinnati defense is being underrated. I think their offense will catch up, so I like them in that game in general. And I think especially if they're ahead, they'll pin their ears back. They'll get a pick six against Andy Dalton, and you will have an inflated score. That is week 6 in the books. We don't take too much time. We get you through. We roll through the wins. We are up 108 units in 2022. Like I said, we threw some NBA season-long bets out there. We are on the incline for NFL picks. There's much more coming. Maybe we'll do a UFC video for some of the upcoming pay-per-views. There's some big fights coming. There's more videos on the way. Like and subscribe to the channel at MikeTheMush Sports on Twitter and Instagram. Now you know everything you need to. I hope you win. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll see you next time. Peace out.